into business of providing all solutions for greenhousing projects.
So how many greenhouses you had already put up in India?
As I said, we've been working for the last 6 to 8 years. And in these 6 to 8 years, we have had dozens of projects across India,
Okay.
converting into hundreds of acres of greenhousing structures. So this we've already done. We're mainly working for different segments. We're working for corporates. A lot of our projects have different corporates like SRs, Steel, and all these companies where we are working. That is one segment of the business. We are working with progressive farmers. And the third segment is we are working for research organizations like ICAR, the representative we had today morning. We work for them into building research platforms for research greenhouses. So it's a mixed segment that we have.
So how many states you had already worked in India?
Presently, we have been working and have worked in Karnataka, AP, Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, Rajasthan. These are the main sectors where we are, and Telangana and AP now, of course. A bit of Tamil Nadu also. These are the main states where we are working as of now.
So what are your ideas about Indian farming?
Well, Indian farming has come a very long way, and it has a very long way to go.
This is a very diplomatic answer.
Maybe, but then it's also a fact. And diplomats don't always lie. Sometimes they have facts too. The reality is that we still have 80% of the farmers who are small and marginal farmers, like Dinesh ji also from NSCI was mentioning today morning. And when we talk of technology coming from Israel or from Netherlands or from here and from there, how much of this technology actually trickles down to the lowest, to what we say as BOP, base of the pyramid? Now we have to understand, with 80% population, or let's say the market being there, but still nobody is working for the small farmer. The technology does not get trickled to him. Why? Because sometimes it's not viable economically. They cannot afford it. Sometimes the linkages are not there. So what we need to concentrate now is not just promote big farms, but also promote the lower farmer and, let's say, customize the technology and Indianize it in a way that the smallest farmer gets the benefit of this technology.
The naming the technologies?
I mean, for example, like what I do, greenhousing. This part. Now, Dr. S.K. Singh from NHB yesterday or day before was mentioning that from a very small acreage in 1995, we have now come to about 70,000 hectares under greenhouses. So I had put up this question today also, that out of this 70,000 hectares that we have of greenhouse technology, how much of it is for the small and marginal farmer? What percentage is he involved into it? And trust me, unfortunately, very, very small. Because most of this are big farmers. We have, 1 acre of investment which the various schemes like NHB and NHM, the National Horticulture Mission, who are promoting these schemes, they are promoting it with benefits of they have smaller brackets also, but it's up to 1 acre. Now 1 acre greenhouse is costing them about 32 lakhs. They are giving 50%, in some states 65% subsidy also, but still there is a lot of money which the farmer has to pay from his own pocket. Does he has it? No. Farmer is not cash rich with 10-12 lakh rupees. So he is not able to adopt the technology. He might have 1 acre of land only. Like we said, the average land holding is below 1 hectare. So he might have that 1 acre, but he's not going to invest 10-12 lakh rupees. He might as well marry his daughter with that money instead of investing on a greenhouse which he doesn't know how to run, which he doesn't know where to sell what grows out of the greenhouse.
Any problems you are facing in propagating these things in India?
No, we have got a very good support, I would say, from all sectors. The industry is growing. If the industry was having problems, it would not grow at an annual rate of 80% CAGR year-to-year basis. Difficulties, challenges are there, but I won't call them problems which are stopping us from growing.
You are having clientele of corporates, government, or individual farmers also?
Yes, promoters, individual, I call them progressive farmers. who are individuals who are either already doing agriculture and want to upgrade, or sometimes they are not even into agriculture but have agricultural land.
Through associations also?
That was one point which I had come here for today. And as I said, to make this technology effective for the small farmer, the only way is through cooperatives. That is the only way. There is no other solution to it. We have to have cluster approach for this. Unless we do that, and for cluster also, farmers, I was just meeting a cluster of farmers with their own set of challenges. They are big farmers. They had 17 acres. I just spoke to them in Haryana, 17 acres of greenhouse together, 3, 4, 5 farmers together, and they've done it at one place. They still have the same challenges which the small farmer has. Why? Because they are not able to approach the companies, or let's say approach to the solution. They're not able to have it. Their reach is limited.
So these days people are talking about the geo smart technologies. So what about the Israeli smart technologies towards India? Like mobile apps or drones or something like that, satellite based.
Sir, when you go to a farmer, you ask him, what does he want to grow? He says, it doesn't matter to me. I'll grow whatever will earn me money. When you talk of Israel technologies, Israel, like we have, sometimes they're very businessman people, right? They're very businesslike. And certain communities have it in the blood. And whatever technology they are promoting, the essence to it is that at the end of the day, the farmer should make money. If he's not making money, it's a useless technology. If he's making money, it's a good technology. It's as simple as that. So answering your question, yes, we are trying, we are from Israel coming here and trying to teach and to learn how we can Indianize these technologies to, at the end of the day, make every farmer earn money. It's all about that. What I grow, I use drones, I use helicopters, or I don't use anybody, is different. It can be anything, from nothing to anything, as long as it is feasible. So feasibility is the key, and that's what we work upon, how to make technologies feasible. That's the main idea.
But basically you are Indian and you had seen Israel also.
Yes.
So how Israel is better or India is better?
Better in what sense, sir?
Agriculture.
Well, Israel being a small country, and we are asking them to come and give their technology to us, because of course they have developed certain faculties in agriculture better than us. And why it happened? Everybody says that how did they do it? How did they happen to invent so much? And if you look back at it, invention, it's more like necessity is the mother of all inventions. They did not have water. It's a desert. I go there and you will be surprised to see that it's all desert. How are they growing so much? That was the reason. This was the country which developed drip irrigation. They wanted to save water. This was the country which developed treating water. They're using seawater. So it was out of necessity. Back in India, we have so many rivers flowing through our country. We used to have, once upon a time, no problem of water. And water today has become the biggest problem, because we did not optimize our resources, which was an issue. And now that it has gone so bad, I keep hearing from various state government heads that water has become an issue, productivity has become an issue, because the land is not fertile enough. Why? It was fertile. It was much more fertile than Israel. It was a desert. Here we had, it's a subtropical region. We had excellent soil naturally. But we ignored. We were in the hype of growing more, putting fertilizers. We did not care. We did not see and visualize what's going to happen 50 years from now. But now, after the 50 years, we do realize that all these climate change, soil change, water change, different challenges have made us come to a point where we need to do something. And like I said, answering your question, which one is better? It's not that it's better or worse, but they have been able to optimize their resources, whereas we did not optimize our resources. That's the difference. Otherwise, my country is more beautiful any day, any time.
Thank you.